Tom Lavecchia here with a special live edition of the Armchair NBA today. And today is Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day, whatever you want to call it day. But whatever you want to call it, we're here to celebrate Italian Americans and Italian American contribution to the United States. I got my Napoli shirt on. You can find this in the Armchair NBA store. The link is going across the stream, armchairnbastore.com. Also, which is what we're doing today, which we're going to be doing for a little bit more, conjoining the channels. We're actually streaming live on Mobsters Inc. So shout out to that crew that's watching in from Mobsters Inc., as well as the Armchair NBA. Okay, so our next guest is somebody that I've been following for a while. Okay, so I've been following him for a while, and he was always on my radar screen. There's always somebody I wanted to have on the show, right? And I was kind of saying to myself, I'm like, okay, I always try to fit it into like where I'm going, what I'm doing, that kind of stuff. So my next guest is Chicky Cecchetelli, former Genovese associate bookmaker out of Springfield, Mass. Chicky, welcome to the Armchair NBA. How you doing today, buddy?
Thank you, Tom. Pleasure to be here. And like I said, salute to your chat. I know you got a great chat, and I appreciate having me today.
It's my pleasure. Okay, so I want to kind of get. Okay, so I have to say this because I have to say this. Okay,
absolutely.
So anybody who watches the show, and I appreciate those that subbed, and George is in the chat. Shout out to George. He's a guy who's really been responsible for the channel growth for the last 2-3 months. And we're doing really well, and a lot of it has to do with George. So shout out to George. But I've had a lot of prominent people in this space on the show. I'm not bragging. It's reality. It's some pretty prominent, important people, different backgrounds. Pablo Escobar's wife, Totorina's son, like a lot of people, right? So Chicky, I'm cooking. I do these Sundays just mess around shows, right? I don't know, 11 people are in the chat. I don't do a great live, especially when I do cooking, right? Because I don't know how to cook. But right. I just mentioned that I had you on. Nothing big. I didn't even think of it. I generally don't announce guests ahead of time. And when I do, those are pretty big guests, right? I can't tell you how many people reach out to me prior to you coming on within 24 hours. So I think you might have caused a little controversy.
Without meaning to, Tom. Without meaning to.
And not all bad. Not like everybody reached out to me and said, "Hey, Chicky's a bad guy."
Right.
I just generally, if I announce somebody, I get, "Hey, good luck," or "Hey, X, Y, and Z," or "Hey, I don't like that person," or "Hey, blah blah blah." But you had a pretty big reaction in terms of people that reached out. So what I want to do is I want to jump in, and I want to first start off with. And you knew him growing up, Anthony Aralotta. I want to talk about him first. I had him on the podcast. He was on the previous show, NBA Buntman. He came on at least twice on the news show. Respectfully, he's a friend of the show. I don't want you to, I don't want to influence you in any way.
No.
Give us who he was, his background, real quick, and was he the real deal in your opinion?
Well, anybody's going to tell you any different. I'm a straight shooter. I'll tell you. Yeah. We grew up since childhood together. I worked at his father. His father had a huge food stand in Springfield, Mass. His father was a gentleman of a guy. His mother and father were basically second parents to me.
Oh, nice.
Lot of fun in their house. A lot of fun at the fruit stand. I mean, I could tell you stories to go on and on at the fruit stand. What happened about fights, and they were very, very close family. And going back to like the 90s and 80s, and things happened at that fruit stand that you would die laughing. Going back, and it's 5 years or longer, so I can talk about it. Yeah. But we would rob trucks full of like chips and all kinds of stuff, and we'd put it at his father's store to sell. And the FBI and the cops would raid the store, and his father would be like, "You guys got to get out of here! I can't take it." Because his father, Anthony's father, was a gentleman of a guy. He wasn't into anything illegal. He liked betting sports, but that's it. He was a legitimate working business guy, sweetheart of a father. And like I said, almost a second father to me. And we had more fun. And it was myself, Anthony, Freddie Giaz, which you know who Freddie is. Yeah. And allegedly, he's allegedly him and Paulie DiColangelo are charged with the murder of Whitey Bulger. Hopefully they beat that case. But anyways, that's neither here or there. So we would come in and bring, they would bring all kinds of stuff in trucks into the father's joint. And 20 minutes later, the cops would be near raiding the joint, and the father would lose his mind, and we would laugh. And when I worked, just going back in the good memories, we would work there as kids, and I was a kid. Anthony, we would smash eggs over each other's heads, throw tomatoes at each other, hit customers. They'd leave the store. It was a crazy fruit stand, but the father did it legitimate. He was loved by all the mob guys. He was loved by all the pizza makers and the restaurant people. He was a loved guy. And his father, my father, and another guy who was friends with us, his father, they all died the same year of cancer, unfortunately. Oh, wow. Yeah, they all died. Three of us. Anthony was locked up. He went to his father's funeral and wake, but he was locked up at the time. So, but sweetheart of a mother. He's got sweetheart of 2 daughters and a son. So I'm just going back, telling you the kind of the beginning. And the thing with Anthony, let me give you a little aspect. He didn't need, and I'm just being honest, a lot of people say, there's people out there starting trouble between us, but I'm just going to, let me be honest at first. He didn't need, when he says he didn't need, and I'm not sticking up for him, I'm just giving, these are the truth. He didn't need the mafia. He was a multimillionaire without a doubt. I mean, let me give you a little history on me, and then I can go into that if you don't mind.
That's what we're here for.
All right. After I was working for Anthony's father before high school. I mean, as a kid, we used to fight, me and Anthony. I'd say I quit. I'd walk out. He'd throw apples at me. We had a lot of fun, me and him. And the funny part is I graduated high school, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to go on the street, go to work. So I joined the military. So I joined the U.S. Navy. I went to boot camp in Great Lakes, Illinois, outside Chicago. And I ended up on the USS Cimarron, A177 in Pearl Harbor, Honolulu. And I went on 2 Westpacks. We went to the Philippines, Bangkok, Singapore, Australia, Malaysia, China, Korea. I was all over the place as a 18-year-old kid. That's cool. So in 1988, there was an accident on the ship where a chemical was spilled, and I cleaned it up. And me and 2 other guys that cleaned it up unknowingly, it was a neurotoxic chemical, and we got sick from it.
That's not good.
Yeah, so needless to say, we were with the USS Nimitz Battle Group out of San Diego. That's what we used to go out with. I was an attack tanker. We held 10.5 million gallons of JP5 jet fuel. And essentially, we were immobile on the ocean to fill up the fleet so they didn't have to go in. We would shoot lines across and fill up the tanks. So make a long story short, they retired me from the Navy because it was their fault. In July 1st.
I'm not sure what any of this has to do with Anthony, but keep going.
What's that?
I asked you about Anthony. We're talking about Korea, but keep going.
Okay, no, let me.
I'm trying
to go into my beginning and then go where I came. If that's okay.
Just messing with you. Keep going.
So I'm almost done now. So 1989, I get out of the military, and I don't know what I want to do. So Bruno at the time's locked up. Al Bruno. Okay.
Correct.
So a guy comes to me. Bruno's locked up. A guy comes to me. Goes, Chicky, we had a series of pinches. We need a guy to clean out the office. Now, at the time, I'm wet behind the ears. I go, clean out the office. I go, I'm not sweeping up, cleaning out the office. I didn't know what that meant. What that meant was stay on top of the bookmakers. Make sure the faxes come in on time. Make sure nobody's robbing you. There was a lot of bookmakers under Bruno. So I end up doing that. And at the time, this is like 1989, 90. So Anthony was around, but he wasn't one of them guys at the time. But he was a hustler. He was doing his thing, which got blessed. So I was with Bruno through the 90s, which Anthony knew Bruno, but he wasn't with Bruno. Like, in other words, like Anthony told you, it's true. He was shelved because he got caught with some bullshit case, and Bruno shelved him. So Bruno used to tell us, Tom, don't go near Anthony or Lotta. Now, meanwhile, the asshole I am, excuse my language, the jerk off I am, I was at his house every morning having coffee. We were out dinner in Hartford, Connecticut, Max's, these steak joints every weekend. And Bruno, I was praying Bruno never found out because me and a few other guys weren't supposed to go around Anthony. You understand?
Anyway,
shelved, they say don't go near him, which is, it is what it is. We grew up together. So that being said, Anthony was doing his thing, whatever, I'm not going to get into what he was doing, but he was making millions of dollars. That's the truth. I mean, we got to be honest. As much as, unfortunately, me and him kind of got some odds right now. The bottom line is he was the real deal. He didn't need them people. He should have walked away. he didn't need them. He had bars, he had clubs, we used to go to his clubs, 4-story bars. We'd be in VIP, and he was nothing to do with organized crime. Bruno was getting a nickel from him. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
So no, he was the real deal. He was on the street hustling. He had a good crew around him, and I was more like, I ran the office, the bookmaking office. Yeah. Okay, like I'll bring it up later, but I was on a show yesterday. I had to kind of stick up for myself, which I have no problem doing because I have nothing to be embarrassed of. I can walk around anywhere in the city right now with my head held high, and my daughters can too. But that's neither here or there. So, make a long story short, I don't know where you want to go with this. I was on a show last night, and
hold on. That's why, because
you lead where you want to go.
I figure each answer is going to be 11 minutes, and I have about 25 questions.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Ask anything you want.
I'll just have my wife bring my pillow and comfort down here.
I'm sorry.
No, Chicky, you actually answer some stuff. So no, absolutely. I just wanted to kind of qualify with Anthony that I had him on the show. I wanted to kind of establish Springfield as an area because you wouldn't normally think of it as a hotbed for Cosa Nostra activity. So I get the you served, and thank you for your service.
No, it's all right. Thank you.
And then you obviously, I think you said you received a medical discharge, correct?
Yeah, I've been retired since 1989.
Okay. So, and then, but what I want to wrap my head around is, Bruno for that area was a very important guy, right? He was kind of like the capo for the area, right? And
he was essentially, I don't want to compare it to this, but I just kind of put it in perspective. Yeah. He was essentially the John Gotti Sr. of Springfield.
Yeah, he was the boss of Springfield. Yeah, I think for the most part, a lot of people would agree with that, and I appreciate you using that analogy.
Okay.
So
I mean, the way people thought of him. I'm not saying he was.
I get it. So what I'm getting at is you had a personal relationship for him to say, "Hey, come work at one of my places or clean up one of my places." Requires a little bit of trust. So
not one of his places, Tom. I don't mean to cut you off. Not one of his places. All of his places.
Okay, so he wanted you to clean up his operation. I get it.
Everything as far as sports. Now, keep in mind, they took a series of pinches where guys went to jail. He really had nobody, so. It is what it is. He
you backfilled. Yeah, listen, you need some people. You backfilled. You worked for him there. But what I'm getting at is you kind of set it up a little bit earlier that like you might have been like a family friend, that kind of stuff. Like at that point you're young, and at that point you served in the military. What was your street credibility at that time for somebody that important to give you that much responsibility? That's what I want to wrap my head around.
Okay, well, I was on the street. I mean, basically, in one form or another, I was on the street my whole life with Anthony, with all the guys in the South End. I mean, we used to hang around 30, 40 strong. Okay. You got to keep in mind, when we were in our early teens, 17, 18, me and Anthony and several other people picked up assault and batteries with baseball bats, assault and batteries with dangerous weapons. One of guys that was around us got hit in the head with an axe. I mean, we were out every weekend starting trouble in these mob guys' bars. And I don't know if we have time or not, but I could go into a story about that where they had a sit down with me, Anthony, and 2 other guys because.
Yeah, why not real quick if you could set it up, yeah?
Yeah, let me know.
Go ahead. I want to start with that.
Okay, I'm sorry. So one time we had gotten a fight in a bar, and the funny part about it, I wasn't even there, but there was another friend of ours who's a heavy-set guy like me, and he was driving my car that night, which, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And we got in a fight. They got in a fight in a bar. That one of a guy named Babesh Shabeli, which I don't know if you know him. Yeah. He was Skyballs' brother. He was the boss at the time. They had a bar. Was he
a made guy as far as you know?
He was the boss. He was, allegedly, yeah. But he was the boss. So he had a bar called Makara's. It was a rock bar. Him and his son-in-law, and it was a hot joint, packed. So these guys went in, Anthony and a few other people, and they started a war. They abused the bartender. They abused the manager. So I'll never forget, I was in Anthony's Irlata's house the next morning. We get a call from Skyball's grandson. And he goes, listen, you guys, enough is enough. They had enough. They want to have a sit down with you guys. This is it. Now, I'm talking not a sit down with some jerk off. I'm talking about sit down with all the bosses and the real guys that put in work, that were serious guys.
Oh, wow.
So this is you can check with Anthony on this. So myself, Anthony, and 2 other guys. Now, I wasn't even there. I go, now I'm not going to say on the to the grandson, I wasn't there. I'm not going to say that. And so the kid goes, bring Chicky too. He wants to be the big shot driving the car. Of course, I'm not going to say it wasn't me. So we get word they want to have a sit down with us. So me, Anthony, and another kid who I don't want to mention, he's still on the street, is a friend of mine. We take off to Florida. We go on the lam for like 2 weeks, and we have a good time. And they're calling us, come back. You guys embarrassed them guys. You better come back. So we end up, now this is in the 90s. This is before Anthony was Anthony. So we come back to Springfield, and they have a sit down in like a little car sales place with a little office. So we show up in the office. It's me, Anthony, and 2 other kids, and we show up in the office. And we're sitting there, and they said, listen, we're just going to talk it out. Now, keep in mind, Bruno is in jail at the time. So Bruno can't stick up for us. So Bruno sends word, listen, don't abuse them guys. They're with me. Just yell at them, whatever. Now, them guys are going to do what they want with us. They ain't listening to nobody. Because Bruno just was a guy at that time. He wasn't a boss. These guys, some of them were bosses. Yeah. So they come in. There's like 7 of them. And when I tell you, 6, 7 of them, when I tell you the heavy hitters, they were heavy hitters. Anthony DeLavo, Anthony Torino, Bendo, his uncle, Baba, Felix Tranghese. At the time, they were heavy hitters. Yeah. So we're sitting there. You're going to laugh at the story. We're sitting there, and so they start abusing us. You guys think you're gangsters. They're abusing the shit out of us. We're young kids, Yeah. And they start punching, kicking, throwing stuff at us. They're giving us a beating. Not me yet. They're going one by one. So they get Anthony first because they knew his father from the fruit stand. And one of the guys who was a boss at the time, Anthony DeLavo, was like an uncle to Anthony. He was so close. He was like cousins with Anthony's mother or father. I'm not sure what. So anyways, the guy starts punching Anthony, punching the other kid. So now it's my turn. So I brace. I'm ready to get hit. I know it's coming. And this big guy, Bendo, comes over to me, and he's ready to hit me. And thank God, Anthony DeLavo, who becomes a boss later, says, no, Uncle Tony, don't hit this kid. He's just an asshole that follows them. And he takes out money he gives me, goes, go get us coffee. So, of course, I go, see you later. I go run and get coffee, right? And on the way home, we're getting drove home by another wise guy named Felix Tranghese. Yeah. And we're sitting in the car, and they're mad at me. One got a nose bleeding. One got the eye open. The other got cut. So I got nothing wrong with me. And I'm just keeping quiet. And it was so funny because we're driving home from the meeting back to the south end of Springfield to our cars. And them guys, my friends, Anthony and the other 2 kids go, please, Felix, can we pull over in the back of a parking lot and beat Chicky up? Let us at least beat him up so he feels what we feel. So anyway, we laugh about it now, but at the time it wasn't a joke. You're talking about serious guys, and it was just, that's what it was.
All right. So you got indoctrinated pretty quickly, right? So then how did you go from being the kind of the coffee boy in that case to Bruno saying, hey, come watch my shop? Walk us through kind of that transition.
I think it was a couple of things. I think at the time he really didn't have nobody else because everybody took pinches and everything. And secondly, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, maybe other people won't tell you, but I did a good job. I stayed on top of it. I did a good job. I had responsibility for a lot of things. We had probably at one time over 100 customers, and that's crazy to call 1 or 2 people. And, at the time, we didn't have the overseas number in Costa Rica. We were doing the number. We were faxing it, making sure it didn't pass post. People weren't robbing us with lines. It was hard. It was really hard. But the only thing that's funny about the whole thing is Anthony Arlada was our own best customer. So at one point, he was partners with Bruno in the book, but he was our best customer. You understand what I'm saying? He shouldn't have been betting the office, but he was, and we got a lot of flack for that.
Got it. All right. So I think Anthony's here. That's really Anthony. Hello, Anthony. So that's pretty cool. All right. So now give us your first assignment. Okay. Clean up. I get it. Right. But I like the machinations. I like the details. What did you have to do?
I got a couple of stories. Maybe you can learn. I mean, I could tell you a couple of stories.
That's why we're here.
All right. So Bruno was just a bookmaking thing. Violence. Bruno. I never did nothing for Bruno with violence. It was always bookmaking. Go to his house on Sundays, eat dinner.
Really quick. And I'm gonna, not that you, who the hell am I? Not that you.
No. Whatever you want to ask.
But I watch. You're more of a bounce around guy. You pop on some shows. You share some stories. You have some fun. You have a good laugh. You've been a guest on some shows that I watched. but I think it's fair to say I don't think you've ever claimed to be like a tough guy,
Never,
or Mr. Knockaround guy. You're like, listen, I did book, maybe some stories here and there, but it's for the most part, I don't have you pegged as like, being like a jerk in that sense. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, okay. So
No.
keep going with the story. Sorry.
All right, let me explain a couple stories. First of all, I was never like, well, listen, let me tell you this. I never said no. And you can check with Anthony. There was times where, let me give you one example. There was times where a guy in West Springfield, Mass owned a cigar shop. Okay. And he changed the tire or fixed the car. I don't know exactly what it was, with somebody in Anthony's family. I don't know who it was, but he changed. Now, Anthony used to go in there and buy cigars every day. He was in there like a daily fixture.
Yeah.
And this guy changed the tire or fixed a car of a female person in his family. And what the weird part is Anthony would go in there every day, and the guy, and at the time, Anthony was, it is what it is. He was a serious guy, as far as in that life. And the kid never, Anthony went in there for like 4 or 5 days, and the kid never told Anthony, like, Tom, if your wife had a flat and I knew you good and I changed your tire, if I see you tomorrow, I'm going to say, Tom, I changed your wife's tire. I'm not saying wife, but anybody, your family. And the kid never would say to Anthony, hey, I did this for your sister or whoever it was. And it pissed him off, to be honest with you. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
So myself, another kid who I won't mention, and Anthony went in the kid's cigar shop.
Yeah.
And thank God it was a long time ago. It was a lot more than 5 years ago. But anyways, the kid got a good beat and got computer smashed over his head. And he happened to get out on time. He hit the door and went out. And the word went on the street, basically, and I'm just being honest, Anthony put a word on the street. Listen, tell the kid to move away and sell his joint. And needless to say, later on in life, the kid sold the joint and moved away. So I'm just saying, what's right is right. I'll admit what's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. I'll say what's wrong, but it is what it is. I'm just being honest.
It's easier to back up that story. So it's really kind of cool to share a story and have it backed up real time, because in the space, unfortunately.
And I got another great story I never put on YouTube. I'll tell you too when you're ready.
Let's drop it here while we're at it. Now, just real quick, we're broadcasting on the Armchair MBA. We have about 56 people there, but we're also broadcasting on Mobsters Inc. And Mobsters Inc. Has 284 people watching. It's a lot of international crowd. It's actually a UK-based account. So it's pretty cool. So we have 344. And we also have Twitter stream as well. So we have a total of 344 people watching, which is pretty cool. So, okay. So I guess Anthony's going on in the chats. All right.
Yeah,
all right. So yeah, share one more. Give us one more story. Let's do this.
I'll give you another one. And my book's coming out. It was supposed to come out for Christmas, but it'll be early next year. And later on, I don't want to jump off subject, but I want to talk about the movie later on quick. But anyways,
a movie. Damn, you ain't messing around,
huh? But anyways, let me explain. So the books. This story's in the book, but I'll give it to you for the first on YouTube. So going back August 2003, Anthony's wife, was a sweetheart of a girl. He's got beautiful 2 little daughters and a little son. They're older now, but he calls me. He's coming back from New York. He's with a guy named a guy who owned a string of pizza shops that ended up selling it to his brother. But so he's coming back from New York. I don't even know he's in New York. And he says, listen, my wife's ready to have the baby. Chicky, meet me at Bay State Medical, which is the hospital in Springfield. I said, absolutely. I'll be right there. So we're there at Bay State Medical, and we're having coffee down in the cafeteria waiting for his wife to have the baby, me, him, and another guy. So he looks at me and he has like a smirk on his face, and he kind of like tips his hand to me, and I see the burn mark on his hand. Okay. And right away, we know what that means. I mean, I know what that means. That's something we looked up to our whole life. You know what I mean? And so, of course, without him saying anything, he just shows it. We get up, we kiss him, we hug him. We know what that means, because him getting that honor, it's like we're getting the honor too. But the funny part about it is, Tom, we didn't need the honor because we were doing anything we wanted anyways. We were loan sharking, we were bookmaking, we were robbing people. So he didn't need that. We were already doing that prior to that, and just keeping our mouth shut from Bruno. You understand?
So okay, so he gets his button. You're kind of you're kind of in that crew or in that space with him, right? Now, Springfield's obviously a little different than New York, even like North End. It's it's a suburb, right? So were there any rackets that were different or specific to the area that you guys exploited that maybe New York, because New York is a city, right? Obviously Boston's a city. Was it an advantage to kind of be a bigger fish in a smaller pond? And if so, what type of rackets would you guys got into that were specific to that area, if there was any? If that
Well,
makes
like I said, me personally, I mean, you could ask anybody in Springfield besides Anthony, or ask Anthony privately. I mean, if they called me and said, Chicky, we're picking you up, we got to go smash somebody, I was coming. I wasn't saying I'm a bookmaker, I don't do that. You can ask anybody that, but that's neither here or there. But the bottom line is we're involved in everything. And what Springfield, what made us different than everybody is allegedly Springfield is tied with the Genovese family. You know what I'm saying? Boston has their thing. Providence has their thing. God bless them. But we had our own independent thing. Connecticut, Albany, Springfield, throughout the whole, New England, roughly. Yeah. And so we had our own thing, and we were tied. Well, essentially tied through people to New York. So it made it a lot different. People in Boston looked at us different. People in Providence looked at us different. Especially they looked at him differently. And it was a bigger market. In fact, I don't want to quote him, but several years ago, Joey Molino made a comment that Springfield essentially was like South Philly. I mean, he made a comment like that. It's on video.
Yeah. All right. So it's kind of like, again, a bigger fish in a smaller pie.
Exactly.
So give us almost, what's your duties as operating a wire room or a bookmaking room at the time? Obviously got to answer the phones. Did you call, getting the edge off when there was too much books?
Tom, that's the funny thing, and I'm glad you mentioned it. There was no edge off. I mean, we kept everything. So if there was 3 million booked in 1 month, we kept, obviously that's pluses and minuses.
So hold on. So I like the specifics of stuff. So you're running a room, right? It's Sunday, right?
Yeah.
I actually liked the Giants and over yesterday. I typically announce my picks ahead of time. I don't gamble because I'm actually good at it, but I should. Another discussion for another day.
Right.
But nevertheless, if you're seeing that, oh shit, you know what? It's slanted on Giants. We're 70% Giants and 30%. Green Bay.
Right.
And you're like, hey, Bruno, like we got to pawn some of this off, or was it your call, or you're just there just to take
That's the funny part. It was my call. So what I did is I used to start booking at 11:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So I kept a chart of all the teams and what money we had on each team. So once it went over 10,000, just say, I would change a line on my own. So if the line was 11, I'd go to 12, to try to get on the other side.
To change a line. Now, if I called you earlier in the day, did my line change or I got lucky?
No. If you called me at 11:30 and got 10.5, and at 1 o'clock it was 12 or 13, you had the first line. There was no changing. Anybody knew.
So in all fairness, you did take the edge off. You just did it with the line as opposed to calling somebody else at the same one. So in
the beginning, but as we prospered and then Anthony took over power from Bruno on the book, then we had Costa Rica where people could call in and edge off. But that came late after. Got it.
Okay. Now, did you ever fuck up? Because you can mess up on that, obviously. Did you ever
I'm not going to lie. I tried to do the best I could, but I had 4 or 5 guys calling me constantly saying, Chicky, what's the line on this? What do you got on this? And they would tell me, guys that looked out for Bruno and them that would say, no, change it now. Don't wait. So I had guys helping me. I'm not going to say I was the big poopah of the thing. No, there was guys helping me, but of course you screwed up sometimes. You didn't know. Sometimes it would, people would come in and you'd have a lot. That came with the territory.
Now, I always get fascinated in the bookmaking aspect of what the mob controlled. I remember I was watching Jeff and the Do show one day, and Jeff said, and this is probably like a big company or like a Barstool or something, but he said the sports gambling has about a 12% margin, meaning most people get it wrong, slightly off. You have that spread, you have the vig, and then whatever kind of prop bets you keep. Does 12% sound about right, or does that seem low in terms of margin?
It was low because let me tell you something. In 2005, myself, Anthony Arlotta, and Bruno which Bruno was deceased at the time, and another kid named, I don't want to mention his name. He's still out there. He's a nice kid. But us four picked up an indictment, a federal indictment for bookmaking, organized crime. Anthony was already in jail, but we picked up a bookmaking indictment. Bruno was a co-defendant, but he died November 23rd, 2003. So obviously he's not there. So of course he was erased, and it was me, Anthony, and another kid. And I ended up going to Yale for a small peanut bid. They put me in the USP Canaan, which is a federal penitentiary for basically bookmaking with no violence, which is crazy. I mean, I ended up
at the penitentiary for a bookmaking.
Yeah. And not only that, but I'm not going to lie to you. I started off in the penitentiary, and then 3 months in, they put me in the camp, which I should have been there, in the beginning. It was nonviolent, and it is what it is. But if I could tell you a little story about something a little bigger, 2 seconds.
Let's do it.
So they had sent me to the MCC Manhattan, which is in the Southern District of New York, which is a serious joint. And I went in there. They had me there 30 days. I never heard of such a thing, but I was waiting to go to Canaan. They had me there, and then they took me in a bus to Canaan. And so I met a guy when I was there. You're going to laugh at this. I met a guy when I was there. The guy comes right up to me the first day I'm there, tan, nice, good hair ahead, gentleman. He's like, Chicky, what's up? I shook his hand. I didn't know him. He goes, my name's Vinny. I go, Vinny, pleasure to meet you. I didn't know the guy from
was it Vinny Gorgeous?
Vinny Basciano, Vinny Gorgeous.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
I didn't know at the time. So for 2 days, I had to wait to get my commissary. So Vinny's going, Chicky, take a tuna. Don't be embarrassed. Come on. He's a good guy. And then another guy I met was Alex Rudai, which he's from the Bronx, the Albanian from the Bronx, who, God bless him, he got like 12 years taken off his sentence. He'll be out soon to go back to his family.
Was that because of first step back, as far as you know?
2000. It was 2000. It was 2000. They were in since 2004. I went in 2006, so they were there still fighting. Vinny was fighting with Joe Mazzina, the double murder, whatever. He set him up on the roof of MCC Manhattan. So, make a long story short, a guy from a Lucchese family comes up to me and he goes, Chicky, why does this guy like you so much? I go, I don't even know who he is. He goes, that's the boss. I go, what boss? Boss of who? He goes, that's Vinny Gorgeous. That's the boss. Joe Mazzina set him up on the roof. So he tells me. So meanwhile, I'm playing at night. I'm playing. I don't even know how to play cards, but I'm trying to play pinochle and eat honey bunny and coffee with Alex Rudai, Vinny, and a guy named Lenny. Lenny, which was an Italian guy from the Bronx who was with Alex Rudai. Lenny. He was a big shot, I guess. So, anyways, we would play cards every night, and Vinny was the best. And I remember. I was only there like a month and a half, and they said, Cecchetelli, pack it up. You're going to, they didn't tell me where I'm going. They don't tell you that. So I pack it up. So I wake Vinny up the morning I'm leaving, and I go, Vinny, I'm leaving. Nice to meet you. I wish you the best with your case. So he goes, come on, Chicky, I'm going to walk you out to they call it a scuttle port or something, where that middle place. So he wakes up Alex. He goes, Alex, Chicky's leaving. So they both come walking me out, and I go, Vinny, good luck with your case, bro. I know you're facing a lot. So he goes, as God is my judge, Tom, he goes, Chicky, I wish I knew you in the streets of the Bronx. We could have had a lot of laughs. I go, Vinny, I'm doing a year for bookmaking. You're facing 2 death penalty cases. I'm glad I didn't know you. And he starts laughing. He goes, get the hell out of here. And then Alex shook my hand and hugged me. And I said, I wish you the best too. Because he just got, at the time, it was only like 3 days. Alex just got sentenced to 386 months, which is like 38 years in prison for extortion. And make a long story short, I'm just telling you, what great guys to meet. Just me going for a year, I meet these guys.
So, all right. So you meet some heavy hitters, right?
Yeah.
But I was kind of wonder, respectfully, you were an associate, you weren't a made guy, but
100%.
You had people come up to you, did they assume you're an associate because you're an Italian? Like obviously, like if you were African American or something else, they probably wouldn't give you that same courtesy. Did you like kind of in a certain way bring up Bruno? Like, I just want to know how that
worked. No, never. We didn't have to. We didn't have to. We hung around with a serious crew before Bruno. Bruno was Bruno, but we hung around with 30 guys strong on a corner of the South End where we were getting in fights constantly. I mean, forget it. It was crazy. Excuse me. 1 second.
Hold on. I think Chicky, there you go. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute. I can't hear you, buddy. That's why you gotta love lives. All right, we're on for a second. Hey guys, real quick in the chats. I don't I don't have a lot of moderators. I'm a big free speech guy unless you go super out of pocket. That is Anthony. Please be respectful towards Anthony. Johnny's a good guy. I'll connect you with him, Anthony. So you can get the information that you need. And let's get to some comments because they were coming pretty fast and furious. So we got a lot of people on. We got about 78 on Armchair, and it looks like 255 on Mobsters Inc. Mobsters Inc. There's not going to be a lot of comments. I'm still newer to that. People really don't know me. And there's a lot of people from Europe. It was a channel that was created in the UK. I think it has like majority outside the US, which is pretty cool. So stay tuned. Okay, Chicky, welcome back. Okay. Oh, there's an echo. Good?
Can you hear me, Tom?
You got an echo again, brother.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. My daughter wanted to make sure her
Can you hear me now?
I'm good, bro.
Hey, do me a favor. I'm gonna put you out, pop back in because you're echoing, okay?
Yeah, can you? I can't. Maybe something's wrong. I can't hear you as good. I've got.
Pop back in. Pop back in. So I'm gonna try to play the piano. I actually interviewed somebody today who's a piano teacher randomly. Should probably have him teach me to play. So let me get to the comments while we're waiting for your love live. I'm going to drop the link. Anthony, I don't know if you're busy, if you want to pop in. Love to have you as always. As you know, you're always welcome on the show. Okay, Chicky, are we good now?
I'm good, bro. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I'm good.
Got it. Okay. So you had a lot of flexibility running the wire room, working for Bruno and other guys. What kind of money were you making per month or per year? What were you?
I got to be honest with you. I mean, I was getting a pay, but they took care of me pretty good. I mean, I was getting probably $500-600 a week clear, and then every time they made money or Christmas, I was getting 1,000 here, 1,000 there. I was doing good. I mean, that's back now. Keep in mind, that's back in the early '90s.
Yeah.
600 a week clear, and then 1,000 here and there every month or at Christmas time. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, that respectfully, you were claiming it, so I got it. So you're making a few bucks, everything's
good.
Yeah. Okay. So that I get. Okay. So I always ask, listen, a mob career is still a career, right? So what was your goal? Were you wanted to be a bigger money guy? Did you want to get your stripe? Were you content where you were? Give us kind of like what your expectation was and what you wanted out of the life.
I'll be honest with you, Tom. My father was a hard worker. He worked at factory work. He was a factory foreman. My mother worked 40 years crossing school guard kids. And, growing up in Springfield on the streets with all the bunch of guys, I mean, I had pictures on my wall of, gangsters. Like people would have pictures on their walls of Lou Garrett and Joe DiMaggio. I have pictures of John Gotti Sr. I have pictures of Anastasia. I mean, every time I got pinched, like in a fight or a bar fight, I'd come home from jail like a couple of days later after we made bail, and my mother would have all the pictures ripped down. They were against it, but I mean, of course, I'd be lying to you. I mean, when Anthony got his button, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, it was our dream that maybe if he could start making guys down the road, that we would be big enough people to get our button. I mean, that's what my mindset back then was. Yeah. So I'm not going to lie to you. That's the truth.
So I always try to look at, and you are, and again, it's funny, they got on you about it. You're half Italian, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So your father's Italian,
my
right?
mother, my mother got some Italian, but not all. I mean,
no, I get it. It's like I never.
Yeah, but basically, my father's 100%.
Again,
you know what I'm saying.
I've gotten more shit on you.
I know.
Like somebody gave me a social security number today. I'm like, well, I'm good.
Listen, I've been through it.
I wasn't expecting. There's 400 people between the 3 different platforms. I just wasn't expecting this reaction. So it's pretty interesting. I'm a little kind of overwhelmed.
No,
but I'm just taking it back a little bit. Okay. But what I'm getting at is, the Italian experience is different, right? Today's Columbus Day, so it's very apropos, right? The Italian experience is different for a lot of people.
And hey, Tom, and not to cut you off, and my birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, Jimmy.
Thank you, brother. October 10th, 1967. Thank you.
Oh, and it's a 1-year anniversary of the Armchair MBA. We started it this
There
day
you
last
go.
year. I'm going to do a 1-year anniversary party. Stay tuned, but we'll get to that. Okay. So what's your father do for a living?
My father was a foreman at a factory. It was called Rexnord. It was a chain company. They made chains for motorcycles, all kinds of chains. Worked 40 years like a dog. Went at 5 o'clock in the morning, came home at 3:30 in the afternoon. My mother had the meal, and my grandmother lived with us 30 years, just like my mother. She was a second mother, and they made the meal for my father. At 4:30, the meal was on the table. My father wanted it on the table. We ate at 4:30 every night.
So you came from like essentially a good nucleus family.
100%.
So why do you think you kind of went astray?
Because maybe in my early years I was lazy and I just wanted to do the street thing. I'll give you another funny thing. Myself.
Are you rocking a day date on the show?
What's that?
Is that a Rolex day date on the show?
Oh, I shouldn't have shown that. They might start clocking when I'm making.
It's all right.
But anyways, let me give you a funny
I just got a Yachtmaster myself.
Yeah, they're beautiful. I've had it for a long time.
I can't afford. I'm just a YouTuber. I can't
Yeah,
afford
yeah. Don't worry, I'll be selling it soon. I got to pay my rent. But anyways, another funny story. We had a Bruno when he got out of jail. Myself, Anthony Irrelata, and another guy, and Bruno were 4 partners in a. It was in Chicopee, Massachusetts. It was called Lakeside Pasta and Pizza. It was a venue for. Remember back in the day, they had a clubhouse music, Johnny O. That clubhouse, and we had a bar. It was given to us, not given to us, but we had to run it. A bar, a restaurant. So at the time, we could have turned it into $1 million joint. We're on a beautiful lake, and we had people from New York coming in on limos to sing songs live.
Cool.
Go ahead.
That's cool, I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, we could have made millions. But in 1989-90, when we had it, our mindset wasn't working. It wasn't working. So we treated it like a party. We would drink. We would have girls. We would have strip joint girls come there and lay out in their bikini and play volleyball. We were animals. And I'm laughing now, but if it was today and things were different, we could have been multimillionaires if we did it right. And Bruno would come there and eat with the guys on the deck, and he would like shake his head at the broads running around. He thought we were nuts. But we only lasted a year, and then they kicked us out of the city. But that's neither here or there.
Got it. All right. So you came from like a good blue-collar family. You got into the life. You talked a little bit about that. When did things start to go sideways? You're making some money. You're doing okay. Was gambling your only racket, or did you dabble in other stuff, and other things?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, I had a lot of years where I was shylarking. Not using my money. I get money for 2 points, put it out for 5. Okay. We were using other people's money, and I did that for a lot of years. And I don't know. I started thinking differently. I went to jail. Wasn't, like I said, it was a peanut bid, not compared to a lot of guys that go away for 10 years, 15 years, whatever. It was a peanut bid. And I just came, I don't know, I came home, and I was still involved and stuff. And then I just kind of soured away from it. I seen, without getting into too much, I just seen the deceit, and I seen how people would talk behind your back that are supposed to be your so-called brothers. And just the two-faced, three-faced bullshit. And I just, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I wasn't always perfect. I made an asshole of myself a few times, and I'm not gonna
hold on. I feel like you're glossing over this. Give me so you're making money, you're doing well for yourself, right? What kind of going through you are?
Yeah.
When did you first start to see the cracks in the life? Okay, obviously you did a bid, you went away, you came back. Give us.
To be honest with you, Tom, when I had my kids, when I had my daughters, when I had my daughters, I bought a house, I got married. This life, basically whatever life I was involved in, I wasn't in the life as a made guy, but the life I was in, bookmaking, going out at midnight to give figures. It cost me my first marriage. I'll be honest with you. My wife didn't want that. She got sick of the cops, FBI busting in my door, going through all my stuff in my house, turning the house upside down.
I hate to say this, but just because I'm listening copiously, really quick, a quick note to the chat, guys. Everybody that knows me, I have an open forum, but it doesn't absolve you of being respectful. I think the only mod here is Frank. Frank, do not block anybody, but if you got to time out everybody, please do so. This is evergreen content, so that's the reason why I don't pull up a lot of the chats and get involved with stopping and doing this, because this can be seen for the next, few months, hopefully for a few years. So just Frank, do what we got to do. If you got a timeout, I trust you. Just don't block if you don't mind, and let's move forward. Okay. So I have to ask this if you don't mind.
Anything you want.
Your wife went through, you going to jail, went through being in the life. I assume things were good for a minute too. You probably did pretty well. Why at the time was she like, enough is enough? Was it one thing that caused, why I call you cheating or something like that? You had broads, or was it accumulation of things where she decided to say, that's it? If you don't mind me asking.
It was, I'm just be honest with you, a lot of people close to me went to jail, and there was a lot of rumors on the street. I don't want to get into it. There's other people's stories. And it just, I had my kids, they were little kids. I had custody of them at 3 and 4 years old. And I just said, God forbid, if I keep doing this and I go away again, my parents are elderly. Who's going to take care of these kids? That's was my thought, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And I just kind of little by little, I soured, and I just kind of started going another way. And I went through, I'm not going to lie to you, I went through 8 or 9 years of a tough 8, 9 years. And then I'll be honest with you.
I don't want to skip over the 9 years. So you decided to get out of the life. It's not the type of thing you just go ahead and hand a 2-week notice to. Who did you talk to, and how did you quit when you decided to?
Well, I didn't have to really quit because Bruno was murdered in November 23rd, 2003. Anthony went to jail. Everybody else went to jail. So it wasn't like I had to go see somebody and say, I'm out. It just basically,
you were able to kind of quietly walk away.
It was quietly. People really didn't care. I walked away. There was nobody else left around our area. Everybody was in jail, dead or indicted. So it wasn't a matter of me coming up to somebody saying, listen, I'm done. It didn't happen like that. It's not.
Well,
I know.
Why do you think? And I asked Anthony the same thing, and he gave a good answer. I want to see your take. You guys had, the Springfield crew for the Genovese had that area on lock, right? Especially Anthony was running it prior to that. Bruno. Why do you think it died out? Like, what was the real reason, in your opinion, why it didn't last?
I think there's a number of reasons for that. Like I said, I don't think I'm at the level to really say what I think. Okay. Not say what I think, but really know the answer.
Got it.
I just think, you got to understand something. Anthony went through what he went through. That happened. And then later on, when Anthony was in jail, the kid Rubio that was on shows, came down to Springfield, and he set another kid up, a friend of mine, and borrowed money and got him in an indictment with Joey Merlino and a bunch of 100 other
Rubio went up to Springfield too?
Yeah, Joey Rubio came up to Springfield, sat in Chickabee, Mass, with a friend of mine and a couple other people, and it was part of they had a huge indictment, 100 people from New England to New York to Philly, and that was Rubio, because of Rubio. But he was a shit witness, and really I don't think much came up of it.
Interesting. I didn't know. I thought it was he was kind of messing around with the Bronx guy and Jordan.
No, yeah, but then they came to Springfield and they met people that are friends with me.
So you decided to walk away, right? And we don't talk about this enough. And I'm not. It's not a woe is me or feel bad for the bad guys.
No, not at all.
But it is hard to walk away from your vocation, knowing everything you know, and go to a straight life. And you said, hey, it took 7 or 8 years. That actually makes sense to me. What are some of the things you did, to kind of get back on your feet? And I want to hear kind of about that transition.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Tom, and I know people a lot of people give me flack for this, but I really don't care. I'm proud. Around 2016, 17, I was lucky enough to meet John Gotti Jr. And I'm not to get into too much, but he helped us out a lot. A couple guys in my area, one guy, Brian Hoyle, did 18 years in prison for extortion. Yeah. Another guy, Damien, he was an MMA fighter.
Damien and I are friends, and he's a fan. No, I don't say fan. I mean, that's not the right word. Sorry. He's a friend of the show. He's a friend of the show. I consider him a friend, and Damien's a good dude, in my opinion.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. And like I said, we met John Jr. around 2016. He was out of the life, and we hit it off. I'm not going to lie to you. We hit it off. We got along. Okay. We went out to Long Island several times, ate dinner with him. He's a gentleman of a guy. I know people talk about him. The guy's a gentleman of a guy. And like I said, a lot of people on your show, I noticed several weeks ago, you had a guy on your show bring up the 302. Let me tell you something. Let me say 6 words that is, in my opinion, of that. It was the best legal strategy move in history.
What
Okay, what he did.
Okay.
He beat 5 trials in less than 3 years, and he walked away to be with his family. That guy, they should have a statue of him in Howard Beach. That's what they should have for him. Not this bullshit on YouTube bad mouthing the guy, but that's my opinion only.
Hey,
But that's either here or there. But he opened some ground for us. Damien and Brian was in Witsec Mafia, which will be coming out next year. I know people say, "Oh, Jesus Christ, it's going on 5 years." It's definitely coming out. They shot in Miami last year in November. They went down and shot Witsec Mafia. I couldn't go because I was under the new federal indictment. So, but other than that, we met some good people through him. And last November, before Thanksgiving, I was in a movie. I was supposed to be an extra, me and Brian Hoyle. Damien was there too, but he got COVID, so they said you had to leave. So in Hartford, Connecticut, we shot the Willie Pep movie, the Willie Pep boxer, professional boxer. James Matteo plays the lead. He was in Band of Brothers, a lot of movies. He's a great actor from the Bronx. And we end up getting, we were supposed to be just guys that are in the audience that get passing the camera. We end up getting talking roles. So we got a message like 2 months ago, Chicky and Brian, you guys made it, last cut, you're in it, you got speaking roles. I mean, that's huge. We never went, this is a movie. This is not like a TV show. This is a movie in the screen. So I'm blessed with that. And then next year we got a lot of good projects coming. So I'm blessed, Tom, as far as the future. Okay. And I go on YouTube and I go on people's chat and I do different things.
All right, I gotta ask you some direct questions and thoughts. So you said
anything you want.
Nothing's out of bounds and that kind of stuff.
Anything you want.
So the first thing is some and like a decent amount of people, and we're not. This is not talking about anybody specific.
Anything you want. I know.
I'm talking the macro, the
anything you want.
The bleacher seat view, right? From different sides, not just like, hey, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people have a hard on for you. Why do you think? And I don't want to hear why they shouldn't have a hard on for you. I want you to wear their hat. And why do you think some of these guys have a hard on for you?
In my opinion,
yeah.
Because they want to be the only star on YouTube. And okay. I'm not a star. I'm far from it. I'm far from it. But they want to be the only, some people want to have the only show on YouTube. And like I said, I'm on YouTube. I don't, and you can go back in any of my shows that I'm on, Tom. I don't badmouth nobody. I don't go after nobody's family. It ain't in me. I'm not, listen to me. If I wanted to stay badmouthing people and being that evil person, I would have stayed on the street. I'm not that way no more. I just want to, I got beautiful daughters, grandchildren. I got great things coming in the future. That's all I'm looking forward to. I got good friends behind me that are going to help me as long as I don't get involved with this craziness. And that's where we're at. So I don't know if it's jealousy. I don't want to say that, but I don't know what it is. But maybe they want to maybe they want to pretend that I wasn't what I was. And I was what I was. And I'm not proud of that. It is what it is. That's history.
Got it. So, how's your relationship with your brother?
Listen, it's got nothing to do with the last 3-4 years. It's been for 20 years.
Okay.
I don't want to get into it, but it is what it is.
I wasn't meant to ask in a disrespectful way. Just
no. Listen, I appreciate that, and I'll answer anything.
And you know, I ask respectfully. I mean, this isn't I got you.
No. Listen,
go through the machinations.
He's a good father. I love his children, and he's my brother. Am I disappointed in a few things? Absolutely. But what can I do? It's not me. I can't do nothing. I try to talk to him. I try to school him, and he's older. But it is what it is. He's my brother, and it is what it is. I don't know what to tell you.
Got it. All right. And then when you got arrested the last time,
it's
alleged that your nephew, they had him pegged as like the head of the Latin Kings from like Springfield all the way to Florida. Can you kind of expound upon that a little bit?
I wasn't in the indictment. December 5th, 2019, the FBI called it, not me, the biggest FBI takedown in history of Boston office history. They came in December. I'll never forget. I was watching the news. He was sleeping. We shared a house in East Forest Park Central to Springfield, beautiful area, colonial houses. And probably the worst and the best day of my life. And let me explain. December 5th, 2019, 4 in the morning, I heard a huge bang on the door. Bang, 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 bang. All of a sudden, every window on the first floor got smashed in with flash bombs. You would have thought we were in Vietnam and they were coming after El Chapo.
Wow.
The bombs went off. Next thing you know, I don't even know what happened. I wake up 5 minutes later with him. We're head to head with zip ties on, with probably 30 FBI DEA, state troopers, dogs. They came in the house like they were coming from Pablo Escobar, which is a joke. Guns out, lasers. They almost killed our 2 pit bulls that were very tame. They weren't fighting or yelling or barking. But anyways, it is what it is. They were coming to serve a federal warrant for my nephew. They took him right out of the joint, put him in the car, took him to Boston. They searched the house, okay? Found nothing. They searched my bedroom last. Essentially, I was just there. I would have got let go. They found a gun and ammunition next to my bedside behind a fan. They come out. They said to me, "Put your hands behind your back." I go, I play stupid. What's up? Yeah, you know what's up. Okay? So they arrest me. Federal law, which I didn't know at the time. When I got pinched, I went to they put me in a county jail for like 2 weeks until I made bail, and I got a $30,000 bail. So I didn't know it. I got my lawyer, attorney Dan Hagan, which is great in Springfield. Him and Dan Kelly. They have an office in Springfield. They're representing Freddie G as in the alleged murder of Whitey Bulger. But anyway,
was he related to Tom Hagen?
People ask me that, but no. But you're right. That's funny. But anyways, the gun was a Smith & Wesson. And do you know where Smith & Wesson factory is?
Massachusetts.
Springfield, Mass.
Yeah.
So bottom line is the feds did a ballistics test on the gun. It was never shot. It was brand new, and it wasn't stolen. So the feds could not prove the gun left the state line. So in that case, they charged you with the ammunition. So I was straight from 12 to 14. I'm sorry?
Even though you were a felon, they couldn't jam you up?
Didn't matter. You could call any federal lawyer you want or anything, and they'll tell you the same thing. If the feds can't prove the gun left the state lines, they only can charge you with ammunition. Okay. So make a long story short, it was a 12 to 14-month sentence. We went to trial. We went to court. I pleaded guilty. We went to court last April. I said to my lawyer, "Listen, get me 14 months in, no problem. I'll go right now to a federal joint. I'll lose a ton of weight, and it is what it is." And he fought. He said, "Listen, the military illness, COVID, this, that, and plus I had 3 months in Wyatt. They put me in jail for 3 months after that, so I had 3 months time in Wyatt in outside Providence, Rhode Island. It's a federal detention center. So make a long story short, I was facing 14 months. I had 3 months in. The woman gave me a year house arrest on the bracelet because of COVID. That was the basic outline of the whole thing.
All right, listen, I can take your word for it. Again, that was
my papers are all open. They're not sealed.
No, I'm not pushing.
Well, I'm just saying, if you want to look, you don't have to take my word. Go get the proof.
Got it. And then, were you witness number 5?
Yes. Listen to me. Yes, I have no idea why, but there was more than 10 of us in witness number 5, and it was all people at the club that hung around. Meanwhile, the funny thing is, Tom, and look into this, the guy who got indicted, okay, which I'm not going to mention his name, the guy who got indicted was indicted with extortion with violence on camera to a senior citizen. He got 4 months in prison. Anybody who's got brains in their head knows it's a 5-year charge minimum. He got 4 months in prison. That's what he was charged for. Meanwhile, I'm not going to get into the case right now, but these are the people that throw things out there. I'm sorry?
It's brought up to my attention. That was all.
That's fine. Listen, I'll answer anything. But what I want to say is the same kid who got indicted for that crime that got 4 months was an informant since the 90s. But that's neither here or there, and I won't mention his name.
Got it. And then you had some health concerns, which I'm sorry to hear. Very rare disease. When did you get? What is that disease, and when did you get diagnosed?
I got diagnosed in roughly late 1988. I cleaned up a chemical on the USS Cimarron with two other guys, 3 of us. It was a neurotoxic chemical. I got a disease called myasthenia gravis, which a 19-year-old kid is never supposed to get. Usually women in their 40s get it. It's a neuromuscular disease, affects your legs, your arms, your eyelids.
Not neuropathy. What's that one?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
Well, anyways, so we cleaned up the chemical. It was remember when you used to go to concerts, Tom, and they had that green thing that was in the tubes, and you would hit them and they would glow. The thing glowed on the floor, and like a dummy, us 3 were without the officers telling us, no, we're a breather and a suit. We just cleaned it up like jerks, with our nothing. And the 2 guys I was with, we all 3 got thrown out in a helo to Alameda, California. We're in the Indian Ocean. and we got flown out to Alameda, California, to the Alameda Naval Hospital.
Okay.
We were there about a month, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with us. My eyelid was shut, and I was weak. The other kids were throwing up all the time.
Well, you know why your eyelid drooped? Because neurotoxins.
I didn't know that at the time. I learned, right.
They relax your muscles.
Exactly, and it affects my eyelids. One eyelid goes down for 3 months, it's down. The other one goes straight.
It's called ptosis.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Well, now I know that, but I'm saying I took medication, it lifts it now, So they end up flying us. They don't know what's going on in Alameda. They fly us to the biggest and best naval hospital in the world, Bethesda Naval Hospital in Maryland, which is right outside Washington where the president goes. We were there about a year, on and off, back and forth. I used to go back and forth on the train, and they finally found out it was myasthenia gravis. You know what the other 2 kids have, Tom?
What's that?
One kid had Hopkins disease, cancer. He died. And the other kid have some other crazy illness that he's still alive, but he's in a wheelchair. So I'm at the end of the day, I was blessed that I'm still walking.
God bless, and I'm happy for that.
Yeah, and they retired all 3 of us, full honors. My daughters went to college free, and like I said, they've been depositing $5,000 in my account ever since.
Got it. All right. So another day in paradise. Chicky, this guy had Billy Cecchetelli Jr. on and a bunch more rats on the show. He has a guy with a wrench in here who's a rat too. Why would you go on this guy's show?
Can you repeat that again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Chicky, this guy, meaning me, just had Bill Cecchetelli Jr. on and a bunch more rats on his show. He has a guy with a wrench in here who's a rat too. Why would you come on my show?
Why would I come on your show?
Yeah, that's what he's asking.
Tom, I came on your show. Listen, the bottom line is, if we're going to worry, like I said, and if we're going to worry about who's informants and who's on shows, we might as well shut off YouTube and never go on YouTube again.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But what I'm saying to you is, I've seen your show. I watch it. I don't go in your chat. I got a lot of friends that watch you. I mean, I think of a lot of content creators. You're honestly trying to do the right thing and interview people. You're not a gangster, Tom. You're a content creator.
I can't even squash a grape.
No, but you're a content creator. Just like the guy, just like Vlad. Vlad's not a gangster. He's a content creator. Just like the guy, Valuetainment. He's not a gangster. He's a content creator.
Man, should be a good company. You know what? I'm going to bump this as we go. Holy shit. Look who it is. Hold on. For the record, before I introduce our esteemed guest, this is not the first time on the show. And number 2, he's not paid to be here. Chris Casperosa, how are you, buddy?
And well, it would have been cooler if you did pay me to be here. But
where have you been, man? You fell off the face of the earth. Where you been, bro?
Dude, YouTube is crazy right now, bro. I don't want no part of this. You guys are all nuts on it. I've never seen something like this.
Is evading the YouTube streets, and you know what? I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So welcome, Chris. What's going on, bro?
Somebody should make a movie out of it, but
you ain't shitting.
No comment.
Well, Joseph's writing a book, so stay tuned for that.
Chicky, happy birthday, bro. How are you?
Thank you, bro. Thank you, Chris.
Of course. But yeah, no, Chicky's a good guy, man.
Nice.
Good people.
Thank you, Chris. Chris, can you explain this madness? Why am I coming on Tom Levecki's show? He wants to know. I gave my answer. What do you think?
I don't know. I missed like the last 2 minutes of the stream trying to find a good picture for my avatar, but I couldn't find one. So I was just like,
well, actually, let me ask you, Chris, because it's a good that
anything.
Good that you came on. Oh wow, that's Scott Ditchy. Wow, Scott's
he's all right. I like Scott.
A good man. I love him.
What's up, Scott?
Johnny's a good dude too.
Hold on. Only 300 watchers, but next to no comments. Hold on.
What's this guy implying?
I got to go over this. The armchair, I think we have, let me check, so I have to parse them out. We have 98. And then on the other one, we have 270 something. On the, what is it called channel? The Mobsters Inc., which we acquired not that long ago. It's a lot of overseas people. And these are non-mob people. Like they're semi-normal. They watch, they don't comment, and I get emails and stuff afterwards. So Jeff Swig, I appreciate you looking out for my numbers, and I appreciate it. So, Chris, and I actually want to ask you this, if you don't mind, because Chicky brought stuff up, and you bring up a good point. When this genre kind of kicked off, it was not a lot of providers. It was a little more interesting. It was, I don't know, I liked it because it was like a smaller community. You got good mob content, respectfully, whether you were an ex-street guy or whether You were a content creator like you and myself. Where did you think it went wrong in your opinion, Chris? Because I kind of think about this.
I'm not sure that it went wrong.
Okay.
It's just that maybe how do I explain this? Okay, so if you grow up in a house, right, it's more sheltered. But if you grow up in an apartment building, it's like you got all these crazy people on top of each other. I grew up in an apartment building with 17 floors, with all kinds of wackos, and good people too. And it's like maybe in the beginning, okay, there was only like one or two. I remember who was that guy? It was that guy Cecchetelli, whatever, right? The cooperator. Yeah. He put out like some ridiculous video that he was meeting with bank presidents and he made $10 million in 4 years. Some crazy video when I don't know, 2011, 12, 13, something. It was like the first time I ever saw one of these guys on YouTube.
Yeah.
And but now it's like you got all kinds of people coming out, and it's just, and I'm not saying cooperate. I'm talking about all kinds of people.
In general,
all these people on top of each other. So I don't know if that it went wrong. It's just some of it's hilarious, but some of it's also very ugly too. That it's it's one thing to. The drama can be interesting to watch, but when people start bringing families and all that into it, it's like, dude, it's like, what is this?
Well, so I was on what show was I on? I was on somebody's show, and somebody kept like not picking on me, but they kept asking me question over and over. Why do I think Mob 2 failed, or why do I think?
I don't think it did fail. I think it's hilarious.
So I should do an Asian cooking show. So my answer was, it's not that it failed, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of answered it just now. It didn't get off the ground because a lot of people got into it from a lot of different, like some lived in high rises, some came in single houses, and a lot of people came from a lot of different spaces. And rather than collaborating, it kind of parsed everything off, and it never got off the ground and it never grew. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, I could be right, but it's just my opinion. That's kind of why I kind of changed my strategy to focus on interviews and content. And the channel took off. So for those people that, if you disengage from the content, the nonsense, drama, people are worried about that. But it's the opposite. My content took off when I started. In April, I announced, I said I was going to try to get a studio. Here's my studio here. But I was going to try to get a studio, and which I did, invest a lot into the show these last 90 days on other stuff. And the show took off. We got George and I love this guy.
What?
Like, all right, here's the deal. Okay, now listen. The biggest insult you can give to an Italian American who makes their own sauce is say they make canned tomato sauce. Like he could call me fat and ugly. He could, he could go after he could do anything. If you say I make canned tomato sauces on like Donkey Kong.
Tricky.
Go ahead.
Tricky.
Go ahead.
Yeah, pal.
Well, no. Just to finish the thought, I don't know that it went wrong. It is what it is. It depends on what you're going for. If you want to do like an interview show or whatever, like Tom, you have like a professional setup. That's your thing. Other people love the drama and some of them make money off it. That's their thing. I don't know. Just what's wrong is when. And I'm not singling anybody out. There's all kinds of people that have done this that are some who are not even really involved in the present YouTube drama. But what's wrong is when people bring in like, innocent family members and dox people. It's like, and that's now you're just going into a whole other direction.
Well, I want to go ahead when you're done. I want to ask you a question, Chris. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
All right. So I had this guy, you like this interview. I had this guy, Dave Meltzer, on. He was the CEO. Okay. At the firm that was Charlie Maguire? No, what was that movie? Jerry Maguire.
Sure.
Lee Steinberg. He was the CEO of Lee Steinberg's place, and he made $100 million, then he lost $100 million, and then he made it back, right? And he was talking about vibration. It's going to sound a little out there, and you can call me the tinfoil guy, but he goes, it's really about the energy and vibration. When you give off like good energy, it finds a home and it grows and expands. First, negative energy requires almost like double the effort and it goes down. So now you put double the effort in and it actually like brings you down because it's toxic, right? To your
absolutely
100%. 100%.
So I myself, I can only speak for myself, nobody else. When I decided to get away from the negative energy and focus on the positive, I felt myself being more energized. And that energy actually affecting other people in a positive way versus a negative way. Either of you guys, can you maybe share your thoughts on kind of that comment / question?
Yeah, no, you know what? I got wrapped up in some of that negative energy a few years back when it was like back and forth on Facebook before it was on YouTube, whatever. And it was a huge, it's a regret of mine. It was a huge waste of time and energy. It's like, it's for what? You know, you're better off being at the beach. You know, it's a beef on the internet, but but it is what it is. But if you're doing positive things, energizing things, yeah, it's when you don't have that toxicity in your life, you got to eliminate it because it'll drag you down. Stress is horrible for your health. You know, it's like,
and then, if I may speak on that, Tom, excuse me, Chris.
Yeah.
I went through it the last few days. I've been dealing with it the last couple of months. I'm not going to mention certain content creators, but there's content creators that get directed by other people. And they want to go on and badmouth me and badmouth my family and badmouth my career in the military and badmouth me now. And, you know, at the end of the day, and I'm not going to lie to you, I felt prey to it a couple of times, going in chat, talking crazy. And at the end of the day, Tom, to be honest with you, my probation guy, young kid in the late 20s, a gentleman of a kid, he says, Chicky, if you do positive things, I got you. But if you're in chat talking crazy, I don't got you. And I respect him for that. But Tom, when I got caught up in this devil craziness of these people talking about me and me responding, I responded a couple of times in the last month. And as God is my judge, Tom, within a day, not even 24 hours, my probation guy called me and he's like, were you in a chat on this guy's show abusing her? And I'm like, I can't deny it. He must know it. So I'm like, yes, I messed up.
Can I ask you a direct question?
Absolutely.
Did anybody call your PO?
They called them 3 times in 2 weeks.
Somebody from
3 times in 2 weeks. He wouldn't tell me who. He
somebody said from YouTube called your PO
3 times. Listen to me. 3 times in 2 weeks. I'm going to give you. Listen to me. I give you my word. 2 times where he came out to my house and said to me, "What are you doing on YouTube? Tell me the truth." I go, "I'm not going to lie to you. I get caught up." Yeah. And the 3rd time he came to me and said, "I know this is not true. Here's what he said." This was a week ago. They said, "You're doing drugs." I said, "You have a urine bottle?" He goes, "Yes." I said, "Give it to me. I don't even take aspirin." Did the urine. He put some sticker in it, did something. He goes, "I know what's going on." I said, "Thank you." Listen to me, Tom. I got so many good things going.
Wait, I got a dumb question. If I call your PO, right?
Yep.
Do I have to, like, hey, in order to make it stick or be worth it, do I have to give a report and give my name, or do they call anonymously?
Of course, anonymous. Even if they called legitimately and they're informants or not informants, and they said their name, the probation ain't going to tell me, because then he's thinking, even though I'm not going to do it, because we live in 2022 where every street has a camera, they're thinking I'm going to do something.
But I always wondered, like, because I may see a lot of threats and stuff, right?
Right.
How did that go? Hey, Mr. PO, Chicky's a jerk, and he's like saying bad things on YouTube. Like, I'm being serious. What did they accuse you of? I'm being serious.
The guy told me threatening on YouTube. That's what he told me. He didn't get into too specifics. He said, "You're threatening people on YouTube." I said, "No, I did lose my temper. I'm sorry. They're bad-mouthing me, and I'm not. They're saying I threw a chemical in my eye to get out of the Navy." Now, if it was that close, I don't know if people know it or not, but it's not hard to get a Navy retirement for the rest of your life. So if it's easy as throwing a chemical in your eye, I'm sure a lot of hundreds of other thousands would be doing it. It's just disgraceful. It's disgraceful, and they're not going to badmouth me.
Let me ask you this, and I'm not one of the tinfoil hat people, but you know, do you have a DD-14 or whatever it's called?
DD-214. If you want to, I go on another show. I can go
I'm not asking you to show it.
No, I'm just gonna let me answer. Let me address it. Not only do I get a DD-214, I'll show you my bank account government every month. Not only that, I'll show you pictures of me in boot camping on the ship. I can't make that up. That can't be photoshopped.
All right, so let's kind of modify gears. Chris, you for the most part call balls and strikes, right? Why do you think people have it out? Like, why is there an acceleration of hate towards Chicky recently, in your opinion? And don't mention any names, just in general, because it seems like, you know, people been on him lately.
No, I'll give you a straight answer. The straight answer is I would really have to think about it. When you say hate towards him, like well, Chicky, do you feel like there's been hate towards you that's increased recently in the last like week or
Absolutely.
so, 2 weeks?
Absolutely. In the last 3 months, absolutely. I think there's people out there judging this side bullshit. There's this side thing going around this side, that side.
Well, yeah.
If you fall into a certain side that they don't like, they're going to go after you. I mean, and they're doing it every day on YouTube. I'm not going to mention shows, but go on YouTube, and Tom, you know who I'm talking about. Every day they're abusing grandmothers. mothers, daughters, telling people their daughters are junkies. I mean, come on. When is it going to end? This is why then people's shows are not growing, Tom. Your show's got how many subscribers?
We have at the time of this reading, 15,480.
Thank you. And you badmouth anybody? No, that's why you got 15,000.
I do not.
And that's why you got 15,000.
I'll give a straight answer if somebody wants to hear it.
Sure.
My honest opinion. It's my opinion.
Yeah.
So there's this beef going back and forth on YouTube. There's two different sides, and there are all these like fringe players too that aren't really on his side, or they go back and forth. I'm on this side now, then I'm on this side, then I'm bad mouthing everyone. So there are these fringe characters, which are probably the most delusional of the bunch. And I'm not calling everybody delusional.
Yeah.
But as far as an increase in hate, well, one is if you just take part in it, automatically, it's like I remember when I was a kid, I almost became a Latin king when I was in high school, right? And I remember talking to my friend about it, that we were going to do this together, or we were talking about it. And one of the things they came up with, it's cool. You have this, this army of people that have your back if you have beef. But remember, you got to take part in their beefs too. If one of them has a problem, you got to go show up at 3 a.m. to go, to some rumble with a bunch of guys you have nothing to do with. So it's like if you take part, if you join a side, even if everything you're saying is correct, you automatically got beef with a whole bunch of other people on the other side that, and people are going to be coming at you. And okay, people may say, okay, on one side there are all these cooperators or whatever, right? So I'm going to beef with you because you're friends with cooperators. On the other side, people may say, well, on your side, you got somebody with a Hitler tattoo, So would you support anti-Semitism or whatever? And people may say, oh, he's not a Nazi. People will say, well, how do you defend this or that? So as long as you have somebody with that kind of stuff out there, people are always going to look at it like, oh, yeah, I'm friends with a rapper. You're friends with a Nazi. Well, he's not a Nazi. Well, how could you prove that? As long as that's out there, it's
got it.
Here's
kind of I took a stance of I had like kind of a internal criteria. I don't even talk about it much, but I have it. So number one, are you good with me? All right. So Chris, I'm good with you. I'm good with you. Right? Number two, are you good for the show? Right. So that's the second criteria. And then the third criteria, even though you may beef with somebody I'm friends with, right?
Yeah.
Just as long as you're not dragging me in. Like, so for example, I'm making this up. Chris hates Chicky. Chicky hates Chris. I'll be good with Chicky. I'll be good with Chris, just as long as you neither drag me in. And that's been my criteria, and it's been working for me. I'm friends on people with both sides of the aisle. If you will.
Nothing wrong with that, Tom. There's nothing wrong with that.
I told Chicky over the weekend, we were talking about this. He told me, I don't know, in the last couple of days, he said he was going to come on your show, whatever.
Yeah.
And I forget, Chicky, correct me if I'm wrong. I forget. But I said, I was like, Tom's a professional guy. He's doing a professional show. It just like, he's going to be professional with you. He's a gentleman. So just. Tom's not there to beef back and forth with people. He's there to do a show.
Hey, Shinebox. How are you, sir? Enjoy the days. We're all friends, positive content, but the trolls playing the seeds, playing the gutter. Mistakes were made, but nobody wants to admit. Shinebox, welcome. And let's reconnect, man. Text me tomorrow. I miss you, man. I haven't spoken to you in a while. Hopefully you caught up with the content I've been doing. So I've been pretty proud of what we've been doing. Well, the other part is I'm going to give you one of the learnings that I've had recently. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm always looking for good content, and I know we get some wise people in the chat right now, but I'm trying to interview a lot of different type of people, not just ex people in life, but also maybe again like Pablo Escobar's wife, Salvarina, which is Totorina's son, people that didn't inform at all, and also Judge Gleason, authors, that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to mix things up from different perspectives, and it seems to be working, and that's what I'm sticking with. I'm going to go with what works and keep going. I'm good. Hey, Peterstown, on Sunday, I'll be at our restaurant for my son's christening. So if you want to pop in for a drink and meet Thomas Jr., you're more than welcome. My son's getting baptized on Sunday, and I'm really excited about that. And Peterstown and I are doing it at not Peterstown and I, but Peterstown and I have a mutual friend who has a restaurant. So anyway, so I got excited. I was happy to see him.
God bless you. God bless to your son, Tom, and I salute to him.
Well, you know what it is. I kind of resonate when I hear and talk to people when they kind of go through their life changes, and there's always like different milestones in life, and it's like our thank you, Teresa. our lives change when we have kids, right? You look at your child, you look down at them, and you say to yourself, I'm no longer living for me; I'm living for them. And also, I kind of mentioned this on another show, but I was watching like a TikTok or something, or YouTube, or a short or something, and the guy says you never know when the last time is going to be when you put down your kid, right? It could be they're too heavy, it could be you're getting old, it could be my back hurts, but there will be one day where you will sit down your child, and it will be the last day. So for every moment that you hold your child, cherish it because it's not coming back, and it kind of like really like hit home with me. So I do my best to be a good father. I do my best to be a good husband.
Cheers to you.
Podcasting is a part-time endeavor for me. I'm working on getting better at it every day. And Chicky, I was looking forward to this. And listen, I don't want you to think I was trying to beat you up or anything with some of this.
Not at all, Tom. I said when I talked to you privately, ask me anything. I'm an open book.
Yeah, and it sounds corny, but I don't know if there's a way for everybody to get along a little better in the space.
I wish, Tom. That's my dream, but I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Tom, I'll say this, right?
Yeah.
About Chicky. I didn't read like all the files from his case or whatever, because people are saying, "Oh, have this happen or how that happened? How did you get off in his case or whatever? How do you only get house arrest?" I'll tell you one thing. I was there when he pled guilty. I watched it. It was on Zoom, right, with the judge and the prosecutor, and it was almost like they could tell Chicky really hadn't done anything wrong. It's like there was no vitriol towards him or anything. It just like they weren't like gunning to stick him in jail. It was like they knew that. And this is a guy that after he got arrested, right, and he got out on bail, he went and turned himself back in without a guilty plea or anything.
You don't know that. Tom don't know that. I should tell him that story.
Chicky, what'd you do, like 3-4 months or something? Like, would you just
Tom, you want to hear a quick little something?
Yeah, wait, but I wrote a letter to the judge for sentencing, and I said, Your Honor, I forget my exact words, but I said, Your Honor, what that tells me is he's a guy that just wanted to take responsibility for his actions and move on with his life and get back to being with his daughters. And I said, this is a guy, if you know Chicky, he's the kind of guy that'll be up with you at 3 a.m, just telling you jokes. If you call him, I'm depressed or whatever, he'll just be there with you in a coffee shop telling you jokes at 3 a.m, making you laugh. He's a guy that really makes the world a better place because he brings joy to people's lives. Nice. And he's talented as an actor. I've seen him act and everything and doing improv stuff. And he's a guy that has options. I know there are producers that have acting roles waiting for him when he gets off paper. So this is a guy that has options. And I think they knew, like, if they had evidence of him really committing crimes, it would have been in his sentencing and everything. And he turned himself in, without any plea.
Tom don't know that. Tom,
he turned himself in, and he got out because of COVID. I remember he calls me at like 2 a.m. or something when he gets out. I thought he was in jail. He calls me. He's like, Chris, what are you doing, pal? I was like, what do you want? Like a burner phone in jail? And he's telling me, he's like, I wanted to turn myself in, but they kicked me out because of COVID. He's like, I couldn't stay in jail if I wanted to. They kicked me out.
Tom, real quick, I just tell you because I know your shows are going to be ending soon. But they let me out on a $30,000 bail. My daughter was getting married October, and this was in January. So now I'm saying, Jesus. Now COVID hadn't hit yet. This is January 2000. So the guy says, listen, my lawyer says, Chicky, you're going to be at least 8-9 months. Maybe you plead guilty. You got to go in. So meanwhile, I'm helping my daughter pay for a wedding. My daughter's getting married. My firstborn, Gianna, sweetheart. Right. Thank you. She had beautiful. I got 2 little grandchildren. They're doing great husbands. But anyways, so come January, I'm like losing it because I'm saying I'm not missing her wedding, whatever I got to do. So I said to my lawyer, I'm calling my probation guy and telling him to put me in jail. He goes, what are you, crazy? You're going to be like a psycho. I said, I don't care. So I called my probation the next morning, whatever it was, early January. And I go, listen, put me in jail. I'm not staying on the street. I want to start my time now. So if I got to do 7, 8, 9 months, I get out, I can be at my daughter's wedding. He goes, listen, buddy, it's unheard of. I don't know what you're talking about. I said, okay, if you don't put me in, I'm going to hurt somebody. The next day they were at my house. The FBI picked me up, brought me to Boston. I went in front of a judge. They detained me because I wanted to start my time. So I ended up doing 3 months, a little less than 3 months, right? And COVID hit. So now my lawyer goes, well, you did it. Good for you. You're going to end up doing 2 years because the courts are closed and you only fixed it a year. So I said, am I going to make the wedding? He goes, yes, with COVID, you'll make it. I said, all right, get me out. He got me back out on a $30,000 bail like 3 months later.
Wow.
That's what a psychopath I am.
I do want to ask, we'll be wrapping up soon, but I do want to ask you a fair question. So I remember about 9 months ago, I was embroiled in the nonsense. I'll be the first to admit it, and it was my fault, right? And what happened was, I just like disengaged. I said, "Enough's enough. I'm done with this," right? And a little while happened, and people were still talking about me, right? And I got really mad, and I'm like, "Why are people still talking about me?" And I'm blah blah blah. And then I kind of realized that like some of it may have been my fault, meaning it's like inertia. It's a train, right? Train goes 140, 50 miles an hour. And when it stops, it takes a while to slow. It doesn't stop on a dime, right? It's inertia. So then I realized there was some inertia that I had to go through, right? And then it subsided. But I realized that a lot of it was my fault. Is there any of it, do you think maybe you might have, I don't know, maybe did too many shows or said too many things?
Me personally?
Yeah, do you think maybe some of the shit that you're getting is
199.99% my fault? Because if I didn't join this YouTube, which I started like everyone else, Tom, let's have fun, let's be friends. At one time, we were all friends.
Yeah.
Then it took a different direction when they started abusing grandmothers, mothers, or kids. And not that I was doing it, because you go on any show, I never abused anybody's kids, mother, wife. I'm not into that. I got children. Listen, I want a man to respect my daughters. I'll do the same. Okay, that's the way it has to be, and that's the way I feel. I have grandchildren. Okay, they're putting up pictures of people's kids with porno things in their mouth. It's disgusting. But I don't blame nobody but myself, because guess what? When you deal, and I hate to say this, but certain realms of this is like the devil. When you deal, if you go in hell, prepare to walk with the devil, and that's why certain content creators are making shows about me, abusing me. It's my own fault. I do get mad at them, but I do take it back now, and I say, buddy, don't blame nobody. It's your own fault. If you weren't involved in this, you wouldn't be going through this. So it's 100% my fault, without a doubt, Tom. And I'm glad you asked that.
Got it. No, I just want to more from a self-awareness standpoint. I wasn't suggesting it was all your fault.
No. But I'm glad you addressed it. That's something that people should know.
All right, so we're gonna be wrapping up soon. So Chicky, you got a lot of things in the works. You know, what's next? You know, are you promoting anything? Was this more just to pop on? You know, they'll give the floor.
Well, I mean, it was just to pop on. I respect you, Tom. I think you got a great show. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you.
But I do have some great things coming. I got the movie coming out in December. Pep, the Willie Pep story. It was filmed in Hartford. They're doing the showing in Manhattan and Hartford. Obviously, New York, I won't be able to go because I'm under this. But I'm working with the probation guy to at least let me go to the opening of the show in Hartford. They're having a big gala event. And then next year, we got Woodsack Mafia coming out. Chris can tell you more about that if he chooses to. That's going to be coming out soon. And we got a lot of great projects coming up. We got some movies coming out next year. I got some great opportunities. I'm blessed. But the most important thing, Tom, forget about YouTube. Forget about movies. My 2 daughters are healthy. They married great guys, and I got 2 beautiful grandchildren. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing. And that's for everybody on YouTube. If your kids are healthy and you're married, or your girlfriend or your family's healthy, that's the most important thing.
I love it. And that's a good positive message. Chris, I know you always got stuff brewing. Do you want to plug anything next minute or so? The floor is yours, sir.
I got an article coming out in a magazine soon. I'm not ready to talk about it yet, but it's close to the heart. And it's nothing to do with any of this YouTube or it's about I lived in a haunted house many years ago, actually, when I was in college. But my frat house was a funeral parlor at one time. It'll be cool. I'll send it to you. But
I love it.
It should be out. It was supposed to be out already, but they pushed it back. But it's gonna be in a magazine, probably in about January, I'd say.
All right, I'm gonna do one last speak now or forever hold your peace. I'm gonna drop the link one last time. I'm gonna give them 2 minutes if anybody wants to pop in and just say hello to us. Chop it up a little bit. If not, we're gonna let me just see. I have some channel updates as we're ready. So the Mike Francis, November 19th at Resorts. So I don't know. Do I have the link? Let me drop the link. Hold on. So we're doing a giveaway for that. We're giving away 6 tickets, 3 pairs. So if you want to win a pair, or you want to apply to win one of the 3 pairs of tickets, that link below will bring you to the page. You just got to give your first name, last name, and email. That's it. If you win, I'll email you. I'm going to draw it probably Friday, and you just go to the will call, and you get to see Mike Francis. No guarantee, but from there we could maybe link up, grab a cigar, have a scotch, and then you might be able to meet Michael as well. He called in the show. New theory, how to put it on the other channel, but it's on my community on Armchair. And he called into the show. We interviewed Mike. I interviewed Mike for the second time, and it was a pretty good but short interview, but a pretty good, impactful interview. So really check that out as well. So I was really happy about that with Michael Francis. The Totorina interview, if you haven't seen it, we have the Italian version with English subtitles, and then as per everybody's request, we have an English voiceover version. So both versions are out. I highly recommend that. I'm going to reach out to James Buccellato. Hope he's available. I want him to unpack that with me because it was a biggie. He knows a lot more about this stuff than I do, so hopefully he'll come on and unpack that. Wednesday, we got Anthony Stefano, the author of many books. I like his one on the Lufthansa heist. I think he also wrote the book on Casino. And then what else we have going on? And a few other big surprise guests on that. So the show's in a good place. We got some good stuff going on. And just we're working hard. I did some cooking shows. I made a cacio e pepe on Sunday, kind of a quick my spin on a quick traditional Roman dish. Really easy to make. That's on the channel. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that's all the channel updates. All right, so
I'll just leave with this. I came on for Chicky. Chicky is my dear friend, and I saw people damn mouth him. I didn't like it because they don't even know this guy. He's a good friend. He's a dear friend. He's one of them guys that everybody loves. The people that actually know him, and he's good people, man. Happy birthday, Chicky.
Thank you, brother. Thank you,
Chicky.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for having me on. Thank you to the chat. The questions were great. I appreciate everybody. And again, thank you for having me. The movie's coming out December, the book early next year. And keep doing your thing, Tom. I hope your show grows leaps and bounds.
Thank you.
And like I said, I'm honored to come on. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Best of luck to you, Tom.
Always I could do. Thanks, everybody. Thanks. I hope you guys enjoyed the show.